Om Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Shivanandaya. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha in Upashama Prakarana, section 18, is entitled Cessation of Misery. And that's the highlight of Guru Purnima message. Yoga Vasistha celebrates Guru Purnima in every page of it. Ever intent upon doing what is good to all, skillfully avoiding any form of tension or conflict in human relationships. A sage knows the inner contents of the hearts of all beings. He dwells in this world unaffected by sorrow. This is the ideal to be attained by everyone. The ideal is to realize I am not this body, mind, intellect. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that am I. Ultimately, all religions bring out the same statement. I am that. Soham hamsa paramahamsa. Paramatma chinmayo. But you have to understand this great statement made by scriptures. It should not stay just in any theoretical level. If you don't digest it properly, it causes a lot of indigestion. And first point, the idea that this whole world is Maya, so I have nothing to do with it. I have to simply attain Brahman, let go of the world wherever it goes. That will not be the right understanding. You are not digesting it. You are throwing it out. So therefore, ever intent upon doing what is good to all, if that is not in your life, that intention to do good to all, be good, do good, if that is not active in your personality, then all your study about all this is Brahman, and quoting from many scriptures about the illusion of the world and leave the world behind, it's all useless. All that will be meaningless. Rather, it will be a source of great trouble to you as well as to the world. It will lead to Ravanism, terrorism. So the movement towards self-realization creates wondrous situations and circumstances around your personality. Love of God, if it blossoms in your heart, the aroma of that love, unwittingly, you don't yourself manipulate, influences lots of people, countless. And therefore, an aspirant should have a clear intention of utilizing his time and energy in such a way that any opportunity to help others is not lost in vain. And it begins with your own family, your own home. In other words, in your kitchen, you have someone shook up your tea and threw it away. Now you have an opportunity to use your heart in a higher level. Don't let the person who dropped the tea to suffer. Don't come up with scolding words, get out, and so forth. Go to hell. But rather, now is your opportunity to show your inner love. Say, don't worry. I will help you to clean up. This happens by everybody. Now, if you act that way, now you can see what happens to your heart. It softens. An ego, instead of getting inflated, it reduces calories. It becomes flexible. It begins to fade away. The inner self's effacement. So this type of character has to develop in a person who is moving Godward. It should not be a character who develops very stiff look at the world. This is the world. I don't have nothing to do with it. That's this way. and showing a personality that is heartless. All is Brahman. Why should he worry? Don't grieve. Inwardly, you develop a totally different standard. But dealing with people, you develop perfect human quality and saintly nature. So avoid any form of tension or conflict in human relationships, beginning with your own family, own near and dear ones. How do you deal with them? That will go into a great change if you follow spiritual movement. If family members don't recognize you, don't say good morning to you, how will you deal with it? I will not go into too much detail. The world is filled with 90% of your problems arises with your own family. And therefore your family becomes a great field of Mahabharata. In other words, the world provides for opportunities to exercise goodness of your heart and see the miracle of that type of practice. Avoiding any form of tension or conflict in human relations. A sage knows the inner contents of the heart of all beings. This again, people interpret it in a very ordinary way. They come with problem. Look at a sage. You know all my problems, so tell me, what should I do? That is not implied by knowing all. He knows the heart of within every individual because he is in connection with God. And God is in every heart. So you have to say something. Don't keep your mouth shut. All ordinary details, Guru has nothing to do with it, unless you state them. A broad illustration you see in the Gita, in the Yoga Vasistha. Rama doesn't look at the sage Vasistha, don't you know I didn't understand? But he says, and Vasishtha then explains. So that illusion should not get into the head of persons. And another illusion, that receive blessings from the sage. Every time you have a challenge, with the idea that the challenge will go away. If it doesn't go away, blame the sage. What I'm leading you to understand, your connection with Guru or anyone who inspires you, that connection becomes vital, effective, if you are doing your self-effort and you are receiving guidance in such a way that you become more effective in performing your self-effort. And you become more and more integrated in daily life. He dwells in this world unaffected by sorrow. That's the definition of a sage. And that's the potentiality in every individual. The deeper you, the deepest I am in everyone is unaffected by anything. There are so many reflected suns in countless jars of water. Every reflected sun is constantly affected. But if the reflected sun were to know, I am the sun. So the message is, whisper into every jar. As the sun, you are absolutely unaffected by all the sorrow. And that's the goal of life. Abiding in the supreme state of consciousness, he looks at the ways of the world with amusement. The term amusement here means leela, sport. It's like watch a whole sport going on. One who wins and the other who doesn't win. All that is not viewed as something real. Therefore it's called sport. Look at the world as sport. And deport yourself that way. Having mastered the mind, he can no longer be deluded by the cosmic illusion that overpowers all that are ignorant. The world is Maya. That's what is being highlighted. And that point one doesn't have time to grasp it or reflect upon it. And that is the most important point. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. The most important goal before every individual is to discover who am I. The I am in you is the most dearest. And on the basis of that I am, all other relations have their value. If the I am itself is not there, the whole world gets dismantled. But then what is that I am? You see, instead of going on evaluating so many things, begin to evaluate this I am. What I'm leading to. That while living your daily life, the highlighted point should not be ignored. Who am I? To make it more relaxed way, God is within you and you are a ray of God. Remember the 3 points. To the extent you are identified with the body, you are an instrument in divine hand. As a soul, you are a ray of God. And in reality, there is nothing but God. And practice of all this will imply practice of integral yoga in daily life. Turn your action into karma yoga, your sentimental life into bhakti, devotion, and your planning, scheming, all type of movement, dhyana yoga, and ultimately jnana yoga, the realization, revelation, who am I? But all these four begin to blend in your personality day by day. That's called sadhana. And that you don't do it with a mathematical stress. You don't go into how much did I succeed, 50%, 10%. No. Understand and allow yourself to live sahaj, just like trees live without stress. But continue day by day living with in such a way that every day has a kind of a rhythm. And you are touching every aspect of your personality, action, your feeling, your will, and your understanding, each one. Make a harmony about it. Abiding in the supreme state of consciousness, he looks at the ways of the world with amusement. Having mastered the mind, he can no longer be deluded by the cosmic illusion that overpowers all that are ignorant. But those who have not mastered their minds are ever sinking in the swamps of worldly enjoyments. If your mind is not involved with discovering who am I, the central aspect of your personality is being ignored, and you are going after all those things of the world, then you are as if sinking in the swamp, because all that the world has presented to you is Maya. And that doesn't require much of intelligence. Simple point to understand, your whole experience is based on a kind of an iPad. Your nervous system and brain, that's the basis of bringing all this experience. Just like your iPad, the I being small, brings so much information and so many data, Googling up constantly. And all that do not stay. They vanish with one little push of a finger. Similarly, all attainments in this world may seem to be done a lot of work to possess something, and secured it. Mind goes on working that way. But at a deeper level, you have to understand this is not the goal. That doesn't mean that you move away from your duties. While living your daily life with all practical reality, go on harmonizing your personality, karma, how to be excellent in your duty, performance of duty. how to face challenging situations with patience, how to face difficult personalities and bring about harmony, and so forth. The objects of senses are like the fires of hell in which they are being ever consumed. That's what the Upanishads talk about, 3 tapas. Everyone is suffering from 3 types of fiery situations, beginning with your own personality. Adhyatmik tap. Your body and mind are full of problems. Adhibhautik. The world around you is never relaxed. And constantly you are getting problems. And then, of course, act of God. Hurricanes, earthquakes, and wars, and all those things. So if you do not have your life flowing towards attaining the objective, the purpose of your life, that's liberation, then what are you dealing with? You are dealing with these 3 fires, cooked up again and again and again. In every life. Every life you live, no matter whatever may be the period of life, it's full of shocking experiences. But when you follow the path of sadhana, those experiences outwardly continue, but internally all those experiences, they are like you see a river flowing on through rocky ground. And every rock makes the river dance. Same adversities now become a form of discovery of soul's miraculous power. You see your soul triumph so many things. And you are waiting to see a bigger triumph. Running after illusory possessions, they are ever caught in the torrential rains of misery, proceeding from the dark clouds of karmas. This purposeless pursuit of worldly pleasure, that's the description behind it. Eat, drink, be merry. How long can you go on living that? Simply that philosophy. And that is not just, doesn't end with this life, it goes on and on. Therefore, O Rama, although abiding in the desireless state of the self, continue to perform your duties as if you are a person with desire. Now figure it out. On one side you are being told the whole world is illusion. Desires are leading you to hell. And now your mind has to understand You cannot practice desirelessness all on a sudden. You cannot simply say from tomorrow no desire. To cut the story short, every duty that you handle must follow with perfect precision and skill. The idea all is Brahman should bring more focus, because you are now, your mind should not be worried about the past or the future. Now your mind is just seeing the display of divine reality. Though inwardly cool and contented, continue to act as though you are affected by the apparent realities of the world. Never give idea to the people to be heartless in the name of spirituality. All spiritually enlightened people, they are the exemplary personalities radiating compassion. O Rama, the self that dwells in you is ever unattached, asanga. These points you read in the scriptures, are also sing through the kirtans. Sadame samatvam na muktir na bandha chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. I am ever the same. No bondage, no liberation. I am Chidananda, pure consciousness and bliss. Allow these to enter deep in your heart. When you realize the illusoriness of bondage, you will also understand the illusoriness of liberation. Na muktir na bandha. Simple illustration is your dream. You may be having horrible dream or haribol dream, whichever way. When you come to realize it is a dream, even while dreaming, sometimes people have that awareness. Once that realization has dawned, then you become relaxed internally. And the dream continues. O Rama, you are a detached witness. The idea is to understand that one aspect of your consciousness deals with the world. Another aspect is like the sky. The sky deals with clouds. Clouds have their own drama. They look dark, look silvery, they have adversity, prosperity. The sky holds them, gives space to them, and remains untouched by them. So that's the description of being asang. That all things you handle come into your consciousness in a cozy and soft manner. And no attachment. Prem. The difference between attachment. Lesser level of love is attachment. You want to hold on to the object you love or person whom you love. Prem, on the other hand, pray is prerana, inspiration. That love that inspires you to get with Ram. It inspires you to discover who am I. It allows you to realize your deepest self. That's called prem. The more you are closer to your own self, more lovable you become. And you have the ability to touch the hearts of others. You have to figure that out. If you can't touch your own heart, you can't touch others. Therefore, renounce all mental processes that sustain the illusion of human relationships. You have no brother, no sister, no father, no mother, no near and dear ones. You are the self, non-dual, all-pervading, immortal, and infinite. But what's being pointed out when this statement is made, don't just look at yourself, I am that. Look at everyone. Everyone is Brahman, the Absolute. And awakening that becomes your act of love for everybody. And all the good things you can do and all the charity you may do, all that is nothing compared to telling a lion you are a lion. And that's the purpose behind what we call seva. As you follow a spiritual path, the great mantra is, how can you allow your knowledge, your energy, your insight to do good to others? In so doing, you enrich yourself with spiritual wealth. Otherwise, you cannot enrich yourself. All your knowledge will remain only in theory. And you will be dominated by sullen ego. You have no brother, because brother is Brahman. You have no sister. Your sister is Saraswati. You have no father. Your father is Paramatma. You have no mother. Your mother is Parvati. So that's the implication. You are the self, non-dual, all-pervading. Another point to understand. You are not confined to one space. Your body is. And the very earth planet on which you are is just like a little speck of dust in the vastness of the cosmos. Should that be the life you should live, just clinging to a little aircraft, spacecraft? The reality, all-pervading, immortal and infinite. The reality, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. And that's what is conveyed to all. And when you live with that focus on discovering who am I and moving, ascending the steps of wisdom, and simultaneously allowing others to be inspired by your example and by your activities. In one of the best form of utilizing your energy is to become a source of satsanga. Create jnana yajna. Create an atmosphere that inspires people to turn to devotion. And minimum, turn to Hatha Yoga. Do not be affected by the pleasure and pain that are experienced by others. All this has a deeper meaning. When you read them, it seems like a simply stay like a rock. Don't be affected. Somebody comes with a painful heart and just don't be affected. What's implied here? Every situation, if the mind is not highly advanced, is faced by mind on the basis of raga and dvesha. Raga means anything that gives you pleasure and you want to hold on to it, your mind goes after that, the idea that object should be mine. Or even if you don't have all this, your subconscious draws that, how wonderful that happy situation was. And you go on creating impressions that are called raga. And that painful situation, dvesha, hatred. The mind is collecting raga and dvesha. Instead, handle raga and dvesha situations like the shaking of a tree. And the focus of the tree is its roots. The same raga dvesha now, if you handle well, you are strengthening your root. If you don't handle well, then you will break down. And if you ignore and develop a view of staying unshaken, you will not be strong. Try it out. Stay unshaken. One good for 1 hour. Do not be frightened by the non-existent world, implying you can allow your mind to worry, have anxiety, have despair, but don't go beyond repair. You don't become completely in a state of absolute despair. And what will allow you to do that? Your sadhana. And your, as love of God begin to manifest in your heart. Love of God is your innermost self. God is not a distant personality. God is shining in your heart as your own soul. Again, the idea of God should not be in the form of God is in Badri. Let's manage, bring all the ducks together to plan for a trip. I'm not discouraging from pilgrimages, but your mind should not have that type of view that God is to be found somewhere with great difficulty. Without God, you can't wink. Without God, you cannot experience. Who is the experiencer? That is the Upanishad draws your attention. Who is the knower? Who is the seer? Who is the hearer? Go into it with a spiritually nurtured mind. Even if you consider the self subjected to birth and death, you should not grieve at what is inevitable and unalterable. Here is again another big statement. If you take this world as real, then be true to it. If it is real, and then you hear the people dying, that's real. If it is real, that's what happens. But why do you grieve? Because deep down you don't really accept it. The scripture is giving it a very tricky way. The idea that I am nothing but a mortal body, that idea is not real. Your own heart doesn't recognize it. Therefore, all the grief comes in. If you did really had that type of view and your view was correct, then why should your mind go through the big trouble of worry, anxiety? You know this is the way things are. You know you see your pen, its ink has gone. So why have to worry? This is the way it is. But it is not so. That's what. And let me switch my attention to greatest statements given by sages. Sage Gautam Rishi gave 8 Atma Gunas, 8 natural expressions of soul in every individual. Daya Sarva Bhuteshu. Compassion is there in your heart naturally. And it expresses. Look at a 3-year-old seeing a bird suffer, the eyes begin to express a special type of misery. Daya is inherent. Living your life in a complex way, that inherent instinct of your soul moves away from your view. But what happens? You do not feel well. If the inherent qualities of the soul are not allowed to manifest, your life remains shallow. Imagine if you do not have any possibility to express your compassion, what type of life is that? Next one, Kshama. To be able to forgive. And it has a bigger meaning. Not to hurt others in body and mind, and not to be hurt by others in your body and mind. That's the ideal behind Kshama. Next great quality, Anasuya. Not to hurt those who lack good qualities. Means people who are in a low level of evolution and you are on a higher grade. If you are normal and healthy personality, you will not look down. Physically you will, I'm talking about. You will not develop the egoistic view, oh, how great am I? And how this little low-grade personality, get out of my sight. That is against your innate instinct of your soul. Next point, Shauch. You always want to have pure air. Keeping the body pure, keeping the mind pure. Movement to purity is again innate in soul. Anayas. Another great instinct is there to live your life in such a way that it becomes spontaneous. If seed is sown in the right place, in the right soil, automatically it begins to gather all that is needed without much effort, and it grows. Similarly, if you are living your life with integral yoga, with all the important points you hear from the scriptures, satsanga, japa, etc., your progress will be anayas, effortless. You find your anger gone. You don't know where it has gone. And you live without anger for years. And you don't wonder what has happened. It's anayas, effortless. Your pride turns into humility. And so many things happen. Mangala. Mangala is you face a life that brings what auspiciousness, a life that allows your mind to say, how wonderful, how wonderful. Man gal jata hai. The mind begins to melt away. Next quality, akarpanya. Not contrary to miserliness. Charity, generosity, that quality begins to develop. And the last one is called aspriha. Not to have greed for others' wealth. Everyone looks for svavalamban. You depend on yourself. That becomes your soul's own innate. Not to be dependent. Nobody wants to be dependent. Soul level, you don't want to depend. So these qualities I have described, they are innate. The moment you begin to remove negative malas, gross impurities, these begin to manifest without your trying to practice them. Though people say, yes, cultivate virtues. The higher level is you don't cultivate them at all. Go on removing the negative. Those virtues will begin to develop. But in the early stage, it's perfectly normal and it is commendable to hear that teaching, practice virtue, cultivate it, and go on writing how much you have succeeded in practicing virtue. Keep a diary. But all that depends upon different levels of evolution. At advanced level, you don't go after writing down each time you become angry and giving a whole detail about why did I become angry, how long it is. Thereby, you had intensifying the negative in you. Highlight the positive. So with this I will conclude. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guruve Namah Om Namah Shivaya Hari Om.